This criminal will be brought to justice very soon.
It ain't over till it's over, you son of a bitch. Adjutant, are my troops ready yet?
Insufficient Vespine gas.
I knew I should have stayed in bed this morning.
Can you beat Starcraft 2 without spending gas? Well, obviously you just open up Battle.net and...
Just kidding.
The rules are simple. No spending or harvesting Vespine gas unless absolutely necessary. Anything that does not require Vespine gas is allowed. For example, armory and lab upgrades, starting units, hero units, and special structures. Since every no-build mission except Templar's Return can be done without spending gas or minerals, I'll skip them in this video to save energy. I guess I should probably put some eco-friendly trivia or talk about conservation, but I think it'd be more eco-friendly to make a shorter video, thus using less electricity. It's totally not cause I want to take a break from researching for this run. The run will be done on brutal difficulty, unless I need to lower it. Minerals. Sounds pretty straightforward, but Tosh tries to sabotage me by sending in Reapers to collect the gas on this ridge. So I block off the ridge and elect to conduct population control. Oh, never mind, they still give you the Reapers. Anywho, after stuffing my Reapers into bunkers and finding more SEVs, I attack the southern Zerg base. While I can use my surviving Reapers to scale cliffs to get minerals, I need to be careful not to collect the gas by accident. The end of the mission is fairly anticlimactic, as once the southern base is destroyed, I have free reign over most of the map, allowing me to mine the rest of the minerals, ending the mission. I get the choice to save or purify Haven, but as an eco-friendly commander, I believe allowing these pesky colonists to settle the planet will just result in them destroying it through excessive mining and pollution.
This universe is finite, its resources finite.
So Haven's fall it is. After losing most of my starting Vikings at the first infestation, I employ the expert tactic of spamming barracks to get as many Marines as possible. The Zerg will repeatedly infest settlements, which I'm supposed to prevent by destroying the virophages. Unfortunately, these attacks come early, but technically I don't need to rescue the colonists if they're already infested. After letting the settlements fall to the Zerg, I destroy them one by one, preventing any more pesky virophages from popping up. To take on the Zerg garrisons, I use the expert tactic of running away from my problems to beat them. Eventually I destroy the remaining infested, and the mission ends. I can already tell this mission's gonna be terrible. The trains come too quickly, I only have slow Marines, and Diamondbacks that I can't repair. Nevertheless, I figure I can still beat this mission without gas on Brutal, no problem. Sorry, felt the need to pause there. Weird. My main strategy is to use my Marines to distract the escorts, while my Diamondbacks and Hellions chase after the trains. As the mission progresses, I run into the additional problem of trains spilling gas everywhere, turning the roads into a minefield of resets. After 2 hours of resetting, I destroy 7 of the trains, but my remaining forces are wiped out by the enemy. So for the first time in this run, I have to lower the difficulty. Don't worry, I'm sure I won't need to lower it again. Sorry, felt the need to pause again. Weird. After lowering the difficulty to hard, I destroy the final train, and the mission ends. Cutthroat mainly requires me to collect minerals, so I figure it'll be a cakewalk.
That was a lie, I'm sorry.
The mission itself isn't too bad, but there's a surprising amount of gas pickups everywhere, forcing me to painstakingly sneak around them. I also ran into the additional problem of my SCVs using gas to auto-repair things, so no more auto-repairing.
All right, Mira. We both know you're ripping me off, but I'm gonna hire you anyway.
My forces are yours, Jim. I'm so glad I got to side with you and Matthew.
And for 6,000 minerals, I get... everyone! After maxing out, I send 2 armies into Orland's base, ending the mission. I finally get access to Ultra Capacitors, a useful upgrade that increases attack speed with each in-game attack upgrade, which require gas. The dig gives me 2 siege tanks, a couple marines, a marauder, 2 medics, and a laser drill. Sounds doable, except both the tanks and the drill require gas to repair, so I need to be careful to keep them alive. To defend my base, I build up lines of fortified bunkers, partition and missile turrets, and spider mines. While I gain access to the laser drill, its slow firing rate isn't enough to deal with the heavy Protoss attacks. It doesn't help that I can't use auto repair on my left flank since the tank and the drill are too close. While I hold out for a long time, the gap between my army and the Protoss becomes increasingly apparent. While I'm stuck on unupgraded Marines and Vultures, the Tal'Darim get 3/3 upgraded Immortals, Archons, Colossi, and High Templar, so I have to lower the difficulty again. Hopefully I can stay on Brutal for the rest of the run. Huh, felt the need to pause for a sec. Weird. A Sinister turn gives me access to Zealots, Photon Cannons, and that's it. That's all I get.
Impossible.
While I get free units from the abandoned structures, this is a mostly Zealot cannon mission. To defend against Mar, I build up a mob of Zealots and lines of Photon Cannons. To attack the enemy bases, I use my Zealots to lure the enemy into static defense. At some point, Mar decides to have a lunch break, allowing me to destroy the remaining bases. While Mar eventually gets back to fighting me through the expert tactic of ignoring my problems, I free the Preservers and end the mission. Echoes of the Future gives me free Colossi and Observers, allowing me to lay siege to the enemy bases as I bring Zeratul to each Overmind tendril. Unlike siege tanks, Colossi have shields, so they can heal some of the damage they take. While I get free Stalkers and High Templar with the bonus objective, I defend my base with walls of cannons and packs of Zealots. With the expert tactic of ignoring my problems, I rush the final 2 tendrils, and the mission ends. After the mission, I get the choice to give my spellcasters more energy or let my mechanical units heal over time. The energy upgrade is basically useless since all of the casters require gas, so I stick with regenerative biosteel to let my mech units heal for free. In Utter Darkness is going to be a tough one. I can't prevent the probes at the beginning from gathering gas since most of them are already in the middle of bringing Vespene to my base. but in the spirit of the run, I stop them as soon as possible. I get a fairly large starting army and plenty of gas-free reinforcements. However, I can only reinforce myself with zealots and cannons as the mission progresses. To defend my base, I use the expert tactic of spamming cannons to hold off the enemy. Despite my best efforts with 3-3 upgraded enemies, my cannons can't do much. The farthest I can get on Brutal is 1940 kills. So once again, I have to lower the difficulty to hard to beat the mission. After the mission, I get the option of choosing Ravens or Science Vessels. Ravens can fire explosive missiles, lay down auto turrets and defense drones, while Science Vessels can heal mechanical units and irradiate enemies. I choose neither, since both require gas, thus rendering them effectively useless for this run. I'm dreading this mission. I need to protect the Odin while it destroys 5 bases in the area. Now my army may be hot garbage, but it can still do some damage, and the nearby expansions mean high casualties are pretty acceptable. The biggest limiting factor in the mission is the Odin itself. The Odin costs gas to repair, meaning that as the mission progresses it gets weaker and weaker.
You're good, and stop. Don't worry, Captain, we'll buff out those scratches.
In the first battlecruiser attack, the Odin loses around a quarter of its health. By the time it gets to the second base, the mech collapses, and I lose. So I lower the difficulty to hard. Normal! I know some people are disappointed when I lower the difficulty, but there's literally no way I can stop the Odin from dying on hard or brutal. Not without gas. Anywho, on normal, the mission becomes stupidly easy as I build up a ball of Marines to support the Odin. To help the environment, I blow up this gas-guzzling ship called the Loki and bring my starting rates to the final assault, ending the mission. Media Blitz gives me the Odin, which I can't repair.
And stop.
Nevertheless, it'll be crucial for weakening the enemy in the initial stages. First, I disable the mech base to get rid of pesky siege tanks. However, I realize my entire army consists of light units, and the base to the east consists of units that are good at beating up light units. So I reload and disable the light base before promptly realizing that siege tanks are also good at beating up light units. So I reload again, take out the mech base, and push against the anti-light base with an army of Marines, Vultures, and the Odin. While I can't repair the Odin, it is still a giant robot with splash damage. After clearing the eastern base, I take the air base. To counter the Banshees and battlecruisers, I use the expert tactic of spamming static defense. To take each tower, I create a perimeter of fortified bunkers, partition and missile turrets, spider mines, and Marines. Through defense in depth, I repel each enemy counterattack. And the mission ends. After beating the secret mission, I get access to the final pair of Protoss upgrades, tech reactors or orbital strikes. Normally, tech reactors are the better option since they let me build 2 units at a time at any of my production structures, whereas orbital strike only helps me with barracks units. However, tech reactors cost gas, and there are 3 future missions where I'll need orbital strike without my transports. Mobius Factor gives me free medevacs, allowing me to both heal and transport my units around the map. The mission is fairly straightforward, as there are already convenient groups of mercenaries to serve in my army. The only real issue is that I only have 2 transports, meaning moving my entire army takes forever. But by hopping on rooftops and clearing out the enemy air defenses, I take out each data core, ending the mission. Supernova gives me some free Banshees and Marauders. For early offense and defense, I use Cloak to ambush the enemy while building up a force of Marines. Unfortunately, the second base I need to take is heavily defended and has Colossi, which are great at beating up my Marines. So using the expert tactic of flying around my problems, I take out the enemy's pylons and probes, allowing me to slowly whittle down the base. As my Banshees run out of Cloak, I stim my Marines to finish off the defenders. Now pie, you may say, I see that 3 gas you spent. Sadly, yes, at some point one of my SCVs still had auto repair on and fixed my Banshees. Now normally this would warrant a reset, but counterpoint.
I'm tired.
Also, it's 3 gas, I'm not resetting after wasting an hour on this base. Anywho, while I try to rebuild, there's simply not enough time or resources and far too many foes at the 3rd expansion. This is where Orbital Strike comes in. By dropping groups of Marines behind the artifact vault, they wear down the enemy defenses. While my base burns, I land enough Marines to destroy the vault, ending the mission. Maw of the Void gives me free battlecruisers. I can't use them for offense, but they'll buy me time for my plan. After consulting ancient lore, I build nearly 20 barracks, dropping my troops directly on top of the artifact vault. While my marines can't survive in the rip field, the mothership's vortex keeps them alive as I drop a second wave on the vault. By stimming and focusing on the vault, I nearly bring it down. After tossing a few stragglers in, the vault falls, and the mission ends. Gates of Hell is surprisingly straightforward. There's plenty of mineral pellets and free units throughout the mission, allowing me to build up an army with ease. The only real threat is, yet again, the gas pallets. As if the mission is mocking me, it places a gas pallet right next to my Merc compound, which forces more resets than I care to admit. While I can't rescue Warfield directly, by using Orbital Strike, I build up an army of Marines by his bunkers and pick apart the Nidus Worms and the defending Broodlords, Hydras, Ultras, and Banelings. If there's one thing this run has taught me, it's shooting Banelings. After destroying the 3 worms, the mission ends. I choose to disable the Zerg Air Force because Broodlords suck. Aside from running from Ultras, the mission is fairly straightforward. To destroy each reactor, I use the expert tactic of running a mob of Marines in, focusing down enemy Mutas and Broodlords. I even set a completely intentional, totally not accidental trap for the Leviathan and mow it down with my army. The only real challenge is the Northwest reactor, as it's defended by Ultras and Banelings, both of which are great at beating up my Marines. Normally I just spam more Marines, but by this point I'm running out of minerals. So to break the base, I use the expert tactic of running away from my problems, luring the enemy into spider mines or perdition turrets. Eventually, I weaken the defenses enough to charge the final reactor, ending the mission. All in ground is gonna be a doozy. To defend my base, I form lines of perdition turrets, bunkers, and spider mines, while building up a pack of vultures to hunt down the worms, and my base is overrun. Unfortunately, vultures are apparently terrible at hunting worms, so I decide to backtrack. After beating Belly of the Beast, I play all in air. To defend my base, I form lines of perdition and missile turrets alongside bunkers, marines, and my starting medics and tanks. To defend the central plateau, I build missile turrets and use my starting battlecruisers to Yamato Broodlords. Whenever enemy Broodlords attack my flanks, I use my marine army to take them out, while also charging them into Kerrigan, and my base is overrun. Despite my best efforts, and even with the artifact's gas-free energy nova, I'm unable to hold beyond 80% on Brutal. After lowering the difficulty to hard, I go Leviathan hunting again, using the Energy Nova to clear the map for an attack. After losing most of my Marines, it seems I'm in the clear, but then Kerrigan shows up to ruin my day. So using the expert tactic of ignoring my problems, I gather my remaining Marines near the artifact and stall until time runs out. Whoops, it looks like one of my SCVs still had auto repair on. Now one might think that this warrants another reset, but counterpoint.
I'm tired.
Anywho, the fewer resets I do, the less electricity I use up. So it's perfectly eco-friendly, from a certain point of view. As a bonus, since Safe Haven gives me a base, I give it a go. I have a trio of starting Vikings, which will be important as they're my best bet at taking out the first Nexus and are useful for countering the first few air attacks. After rushing the first Nexus with my Vikings, I build up turrets to defend the colonist settlements from the terror fleets. Afterwards, I grab the minerals while making sure to avoid any pesky gas pellets. Once I get my Marine army ready, I take out the other 2 Nexi, using my Marines to tank and my Vikings to spank. At the same time, I use the expert tactic of spamming missile turrets to prepare for the Purifier's arrival. By using the expert tactic of ignoring my problems, I focus down the Purifier, and the mission ends.
You will pay for this treachery!
Insufficient Vespine gas.
It's now or never, General. Hit it!
So can you beat Wings of Liberty without spending gas? Actually, yeah. The only 2 missions where it's kind of impossible not to spend or harvest gas are Welcome to the Jungle and In Utter Darkness. Welcome to the Jungle's main objective is to literally harvest gas to win, so it's a no-go.
But Pi, it's terrazine gas, not Vespine. Surely you can still beat that mission without spending Vespine.
Gas is gas. Anywho, in utter darkness also isn't doable since the starting probes harvest Vespene before I can stop them. But since both these missions can be skipped, it is indeed technically possible to beat Wings of Liberty without spending or harvesting gas. I'm sure a better player could probably do it without lowering the difficulty from brutal. In total, all 6 of the no-build missions can be done without spending or harvesting gas, because there's no resources to actually spend. As for regular missions, 17 out of 29 can be done without spending or harvesting gas on brutal. Altogether, the total is 23 out of 29. If I include missions where I needed to lower the difficulty, this increases to 27 out of 29, 93%. Even without gas, the Terran arsenal is formidable. It still maintains a strong economy, formidable defenses, and good production capabilities. Really, the only weaknesses are a lack of anti-armor and vulnerability to splash damage. Remember, pat the cat, patted a hat. Sign up for early access, ad-free videos, work-in-progress updates, and more. Shoutouts to Time, Gladys Marino, Happy Accurate, Jen Tuong, and Scott Replinger for supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and make sure your workers aren't getting too high on Vespene gas.
Armies will be shattered.
Or we can use gas.
Worlds will burn.
Your brood can harvest Vespene at maximum efficiency.
Vengeance shall...
Gas is venting.
Silence, Isha.